Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Wilson here for this episode of Fighters, Coaches, and Fathers. And on this episode, I'm super excited to have Matt Jelly on, MMA fighter, but really has created quite a niche for himself in becoming a trainer to UFC stars. How are you, Matt?
I'm fantastic, Jeff. It's good to talk to you again.
Good to talk to you as well. So much to catch up on, but just before we started this interview, we had a really interesting conversation about Muay Thai. And I want to kind of go back to it because I wanted to record it because we're sitting here and we're catching. I'm like, that's some beautiful stuff. We're talking about money, and we're talking about professional fighters, and we're talking about the greats. And I specifically said, and I don't know it, and I don't want to get people to understand this wrong, but I said, there's something about Muay Thai and Muay Thai fighters that when you decide to take on that life, it's never really about making money. It's about becoming a better person or something like that. And you really do, as you said before, speak Muay Thai. What do you say? Like, talk to me a little bit about the art and why that's so pervasive, why people are so attracted to it, given that it doesn't have any promise or vision of wealth.
Well, I think it's like going around Thailand and you see like the poverty and how you fight for so little money, but that goes a long way over there for people that just don't have a lot. So, and like I was saying earlier there, I've been a firm believer that poverty and kind of growing up on the tough side of the rails is what makes a fighter like a true fighter. And those Thai fighters, they fight for nothing growing up, just to give a little money to their parents or whatnot for food, and they struggle, but then they make some of themselves because of that pure toughness of growing up gritty. I never ever thought that privilege ever grew a great fighter. So.
Wow, well said. I mean, so many of the fight fans, the Pacquiao story and how he ended up growing up and how, he had to gain weight. It's not just, you say to talk about heart, you talk about the way you do it. But I think what's more important about it, and I think you learned this in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too, is when you're talking about an art or a martial arts in general should be something that makes you a better person. And how do you advance to become a better person if you don't force yourself or get into places where you're uncomfortable?
Well, I saw like a good meme today because I like memes, but it was talking about like being chewed out by coaches and life, and some people can't handle it. And I saw a lot of people go through a lot of privilege points, and then they go to a fight, and then they lose, and then they've never faced that adversity. I've seen so many different fighters that kind of break after the first time they lost because it kind of goes against their character. But I feel like true character is built through ups and downs. You can't have all ups. You have to have downs, and those downs they grow you into a person, into a fighter. And fighting is just a metaphor for life, and you see the crazy fighters out there nowadays. Max Holloway will sit in the pocket and just chuck, doesn't care. Jeremy Stevens, all these guys that do all that crazy fight style, that those guys, they have like a past, they have something that kind of makes them like that. So you can tell character from the way people fight. I'm not the most social with a lot of stuff, but I'm different when I fight, so.
Yeah, and I love it, and that's why I'm always interested in fighters that maybe haven't seemed to gone through the same thing. So, like when I think about John Jones, who is a pretty incredible individual in terms of his natural skill level, the gifts God's given him, at least like fighting a pterodactyl. You look at him and you're like, you want to see him lose, but you're like, all you have to be is probably 70% good enough to get there. And then you're like, but then the problems he kind of creates in his life by not having the similar type of struggle in his fight career come out in other ways.
Yeah, fighters are not usually known for being the most stable. So it's like, it's a field that, you know, Mike Tyson was crazy. You got like, oh, there's so many fighters. Bernard Hopkins went to jail for 18, like he was sentenced for 18 years, went to jail, he was a jail champ, got out, realized that you could do something, you know, if you put in some really hard work into stuff, and you go through the downs to get the ups. And Bernard Hopkins is a legend in boxing, and his story is probably one of the best stories in all fighting. So it's, you never know what you're going to see in this sport, and the sport brings out every single kind of character in the world, and that's why I love it. So
yeah, it's awesome. Okay, well, thank you for that. We got into our philosophical conversation around fighting and how it's a metaphor for life, but it really is. And especially in this day and age, man, whether it's Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or any of the other martial arts, I find that when I don't push myself in my own life to be uncomfortable, that uncomfortability will find me, and I'll be forced to do it.
yeah,
So at least one way, if I choose on how I'm going to struggle, I'm in control. Whereas if I choose I'm not going to struggle and my sphere of influence comes down, then you're like, you're going to go backwards. You know what? Struggle is going to find you no matter what. So you might as well go for something, right?
yeah, it's, you got to believe in the sport. I mean, look at what Connor's done. Connor just believes in himself. He goes through ups and downs, but man, can't hate a guy that makes that much money in this sport when people are getting their heads knocked for very, very few dollars. So
Yeah, and to be honest, as much as there's a real big two sides to Conor McGregor, I love the story about him and his dad having the fight when he wanted to take over his job as being a plumber in the business. He says, "No, I'm going to be a fighter." And he said, "No, you're not." And they had a fist fight. And his dad's huge, and he lost that fight, but he left. And he went to go live with this girlfriend. And like, that's a crazy situation to me. But without that situation, without that struggle and that hardship, and then having to basically be supported by your girlfriend for, I think we've all been there at some point. Dan Thomas has been there, like, and you know, we've all been there where you need to rely on somebody else to realize that, hey man, this isn't going to be what it's like forever, but you're going to remember these times, and it's going to pull you through times when you got to do something different. So I love that, man. It's amazing. Thank you for that. So let's talk about, you were just come back from, you were in Phoenix? Were you training guys for UFC there?
oh, I wasn't training nobody. I was just hanging out with my friend Charles.
Oh, cool. And then, but you were just at the Institute, right?
Yeah, because of Charles. He's yeah, really good nutritionist, incredibly educated, and he's a really good Muay Thai fighter as well. So I hope Pat's for him. And
yeah, what's it? So let's plug him a bit. What's his last name?
Charles Stull, Stull.
And he's a nutritionist for UFC fighters over at the Institute?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. And
background. So
why is he so good, do you think?
Work ethic.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's an incredibly hard worker. So it's like that hard work. You need to have that drive to make it in the sport. Nothing is handed to you. You get to the top. Like a lot of people get to the UFC, they stop working hard because they think they made it. But that's the start. So it's no different than every single field. Everything is the same. You go through those patches and you get to the top in every way you can possible.
Yeah.
I think Charles started UCLA, and then yeah, got picked up by the UFC. So
that's awesome, man. Well, it's great to hear. But you've been doing something. What I like about you, what I keep hearing about Matt Jelly, is, and I've trained kickboxing. I've trained Muay Thai, but probably not as traditionally as you have and your guys. And Kelly and I were talking earlier today, and we were talking about guys when you start out training, and guys that can hold pads well and guys that can't. And you don't probably remember, but you're probably a lot more tech. But we were talking, I was like, Kelly, we were like, dude, remember hitting pads? And you remember being with somebody that was like, oh, like they're not hitting, you know? Yeah. And you're so upset because it ruins you're like, you're looking around for another partner, but you can't get out of the situation. But once you understand, you got to tag that and you got to do that. That's like, it's one of the things that you look when you look for a partner. you're like, okay, having said that, you still got to go through that time where you got, you know what, fighter's not going to do that. So maybe I got to learn how to reach, change your mentality. But if you got to get out some anger and aggression, you're always looking for good that can hold the pads unbelievably well. And I heard that like the Chinese contingencies just saw you holding pads and ran over and started training with you. Like it's kind of like what happens is that the real fighters know and they can smell you and they're like, I want to train with that guy. Like how's that going on, man? That's awesome.
Well, I think it's hard work. I'm a fairly fast-paced pad holder too, and I was holding pads for Jacare. Actually, Charles sent Jacare my way. It seemed like I'm at the PI all the time, helping out as many people as possible. So
love Jacare,
and that was an incredible honor. And he really liked my style. It seemed like so. And his manager Gilberto, super nice guy. And then I helped pass for Jamal, a nice young 205er. He never ever told me his last name though. But
I get it.
Really good guy. I was holding for those guys, and they're all in that same Jacare crew. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool, man. And so you've been doing a lot of stuff at the Institute, and you've sort of moved into this in a very interesting way. Talk to me a little bit about, Baby Mad Jelly, where you grew up and how you grew up and your family. Let's go from there.
Well, my martial arts journey is basically my whole life. So my dad put me in martial arts when I was 7, started in Taekwondo up in Fort Mac. So I started there and I kind of fell in love with it. And then, but my youth was all over the place. I moved every 2 years basically to a new city. I went from Fort Mac, Edmonton, Fort Saskatchewan, back to Fort Mac every couple of years. So when I went to Fort Saskatchewan, I started judo. I was like 10. Then I did judo for a couple of years, did a bunch of different tournaments, and then I moved back to Fort Mac and started going in different kind of taekwondos and stuff like that when I was about 16, 15. And then I went to this big tournament. I won the tournament, but I didn't feel like I won. I faced this kickboxer in the final, and I was like, okay, I need to find boxing and kickboxing. So I went and found kickboxing up at Fort Mac there at Bowman's, and that's where I started with the whole crew up there, Dwayne Lewis, Mike Sorensen, Brad Zazulak, all like the OGs in the Fort Mac area. So and then from there, it just kept building and building. So I took my first trip to Thailand, 19 or 20. And then
how does that happen? Like you start doing in martial arts, and it sounds like it's I don't want to say it this way. It is the most consistent thing in your life is whenever you travel, you're like, oh, I got to move again. I got to meet a bunch of kids that aren't going to like me. I'm going to get in fights. I got to go do this again. Now I better go find a martial arts school because that's the only thing that seems, it is the most consistent thing, as I moved around a lot as a kid as well. So I get that. Like you're always new situations and it's not easy, but it does make you better, stronger in certain situations, right?
it made me great in people skills. Like I never really, kids are kids. So, and you have a last name like Jelly growing up. It was kind of, so, but nowadays it's like, it's cool. So you get through those shitty times and whatnot, and you make like the real friends. And I was really good at just finding a real group of people that I liked, and that went from everywhere all over the place. So I still talk to friends from all the cities kind of growing up.
But were they mostly like martial arts guys?
Most of my friends now, because I've been doing martial arts like even professionally in a way for over 10 years now. So
yeah.
I'm not even that old, but
yeah, it's interesting. So how do you get to Thailand? How do you get your first trip to Thailand? It's always interesting the first time, right?
First time was crazy. Like I went over there with my dad. My dad's a freak athlete. He still puts like younger guys to shame with all kinds of different stuff in the gym. So he's strong as hell. So I'm kind of like the nimble guy and he's the strong guy. But I went over there with him the first time and I stayed on the camp. And then just in seeing what Thailand was like, because that's when I first started holding pads, was watching how the Thais hold pads, because I've never seen that before. And then when I started seeing that and I was training with them, I was like, all right, I kind of melded it to my pad style, and then that's when I started. So I've been holding pads for longer than I've been fighting, basically. So I feel like pad holding is the best way to learn counter striking because you see punches and kicks all the time. And I think everybody should learn how to hold pads, even to be a good training partner or to get better at counter striking and reaction timing. So I love holding pads. Like I'll hold pads and get like crazy sweats all at like time because I work hard when I do pad work. So it's simulated.
Yeah, man. I love the fact that you just said that because this has probably never happened to you, Matt. But I remember training with my buddy Jacob, and when you said holding pads is the best way to work defense, you're absolutely right. Because if you're not paying attention, I was sitting like this, like, and I turned around and listened to Richie. It was coach at the time. It's like, pow, pow, and he hit yourself in the face. You almost gave myself a bloody nose, man. So you're like, no, this is serious business. Holding pads. No, it's absolutely a part of fighting, and it's an essential part. So I love that you just said that. But let me ask this question on what you just said. How do Thais hold pads differently?
It's not really like combos. It's like a continuous chain, and the chain just like never ends for any sequence. Like the whole thing is a sequence. Like it's a lot different. A lot of kickboxers, they'll have combos, but they don't flow with the clinch. They don't flow with elbows. For kickboxers, there's so many elements that they still don't use, and Muay Thai does. Just like same as boxers, you can't be a straight boxer and fight MMA because you're gonna get kicked into wherever, right? So you have to have this hybrid game. I think Muay Thai has the best hybrid game, but there's not many people in North America that really have that Thai style. Like even like this Bang Muay Thai, I love a lot of the sequence and stuff like that. I love it, but I don't think it's true Muay Thai. Like I don't know how much crazy clinch work there's like in the system and stuff like that. And I think Thais they don't have belts. It's just you fight. That's just how it is. It's the most traditional martial art I think in the world. So,
dude, I'm loving the conversation we're having tonight, and I agree. Like I didn't know how you're gonna answer that. I'm like that totally makes sense because if you just watch Thai guys, it seems like they go forever in the pad training. They never do a combination. It's never 1 2 3, 1 2 3 like it is for kickboxers like we do. So that's awesome. So you get to your first time in Thailand with your dad. You fall in love with the sport even more so, I guess, after that. You build a relationship. Where did you go to Tiger Muay Thai or where did you train?
Tiger every time. I still have a lot of friends there. I still talk with a lot of the guys there. It's all the guys I did because I did the 2014 tryout documentary. That the crazy one where Lion Lamb were just being savages to the guys. So I did good in that one though because I've done pads with all the Thais before. So they were kicking me, but I knew how to react. I didn't run away, and it was really cool. So I stayed there, and all those guys that did that tryout with me are basically teaching the program. I think George Hickman is the head coach now, and George is a fantastic wrestler, a lot of MMA. And they got like Bruno and Emilo and a lot of good guys there.
That's awesome, man. Cool. So, and you've been back to Thailand a few times since?
I went there 5 times so far.
Yeah.
So,
How does it like? Talk to me about why you plan those trips to go back 5 times a lot, and what you learned during one of those trips that was different than the other ones. Like where you're like, oh, wait a second, that's something I never thought of before.
I always had the same trainer. I always went with the same guy. His name was Robert. Robert the Terminator. He's like legend at that gym, and he's tough as nails. Like he's got about 220, 230 fights. He's a bigger Thai. He's a strong Thai. He works his ass off, and he's incredibly tough. And sparring with him every single year taught me toughness. That taught me like, all right, these guys, they don't do rounds when they spar. They just go until somebody wants to basically quit or you're too tired. And it taught me that toughness was the biggest thing of training with a lot of the Thais. They would kick the shit out of you and just kind of laugh. And it was just like, all right, I kind of understand how this works. And then, I bring that over to North America wherever I can here. And I try and just pass it on to whatever I can. So It's just a different idea. It's a different idea of martial arts, more or less, than the actual like learning techniques. It's learning the chain of how it works over there. Culturally, it's like ingrained into the country, so you have to experience the country to really understand what Muay Thai is to them. So I love it.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's beautiful. And it is, and it has a high level of respect among the Thais, and it's spiritual in a way that's interesting too. When I was first in Thailand, and you walk by Muay Thai, and all of a sudden you see 5 and 6 year olds training, and they're training really hard. You're like, what? Nope, nobody's getting upset. Nobody's mad that these kids are in there, because that's what would happen here. Because they're not really wearing pads. They're just straight up like they're wearing, regular stuff, and you're like, wow. But they're also, and they're going hard, but they're also at the same level, and it seems to be a progress and growth, right? When you see that, and yeah, part of their culture, it's amazing. I want to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, the ways Thai spar though, if they're controlled, they don't really hit the head too often. It's all so it's like body conditioning. Like you can just hit a Thai in the leg with a baseball bat, and they wouldn't care because they're just used to it. Like they get hit all day in the body. It's like old school Hirokishin karate, where it's all body conditioning. They don't really hit the head too much. They save that for fight times. I mean, obviously not everybody does that all the time, but and that is a sad thing with the kids fighting a lot of times is, their brain's not developed yet. But third world country, it's, in Canada and North America, we have kind of, I don't know, what do they call them now? Like the snowflakes or something like that?
I don't know, man. I don't like to think about that. I got my nephews I take care of, and they're playing hockey right now, and one of mine's very very vocal, and when another team's accidentally scored on their own goal, he made sure they knew about it by talking about it. So I don't understand kids today, man. I think it's hilarious, but they're different worlds, and I don't think we should do nothing but learn about those different worlds before we start making any judgments. And you're exactly right. I didn't see those kids when I walked by ever hit each other in the head, and they were training hard. They were really leg kicking and going to the body. And so, yeah, that's true. Let's talk a little bit about the spirituality or the music and the things that happen in Muay Thai that are different than other martial arts. Muay Thai is one of the only arts that you'll ever, when someone comes to the ring, the song comes on, and the outfit they're wearing, the Mai Kong, happens. Talk to me a little bit about the music of Muay Thai.
Well, I know I was just at a Muay Thai event actually yesterday, one of the Triumphant Six show, and it's a really good Muay Thai show, and they were playing the music because it's Muay Thai, and it brings me back. I love Thai music. I love listening to that in a fight. It puts you in just the mood and like the whole culture. You do the white crew beforehand. It kind of it mellows you into everything. It makes it more than just like, in MMA. That's why I don't really get too pumped up to fight MMA, because it's more or less, kill, kill, kill. Let's go out there and do crazy shit. Whereas Muay Thai, it's like, we're going to try and kill each other with everything. But it's more of a mutual respect kind of a sport. So I love going over there and fight because it's not just, bloodlust, craziness. And I do love it. I really do.
You don't hear MMA guys typically, Muay Thai guys typically disrespecting each other, looking for the entertainment and doing stuff. And in fact, I heard this from Josh Harley out in Montreal the other day. He was watching a fight in Thailand, and I don't think this is common, but every once in a while, it's a third world country, there may be some outside influences where a really good fighter has taken money to lose the fight in some organization, right? It happens everywhere. I think it happens in every frame of the game, but that's a 4-hour conversation at a different time. But what's funny is Josh shows this video, and you probably saw it, and the really good fighter comes in, and as soon as he gets in the ring, he falls down. And he's like, and then he goes and he's doing all this funny stuff, and Josh is like, that's exactly what a true Thai fighter would do if he was forced to throw a fight. And I was like, What? I didn't know that. Have you ever been in a situation where you've seen that?
I've seen it. Like, I mean, especially over there. I love jumping into the gamble pits in Thailand. I'm not gonna lie, that's crazy. Like, you just see people just like flashing stacks of money, just like gambling on the side, and it happens all the time. Like, there's big money. Those Thais make nothing to fight. They like the foreigners make more on their debut than a 200 fight veteran in Thailand.
Wow.
It's just like, these kids, they're younger kids. There was this one fighter, Tiger Rip. He was always in Fight of the Nights. I always went. I always gave him money every event extra because I love the gamble pits. I would give him everything I won on him. So, and he loved it because I would always, he had a bunch of kids, but he was getting paid less than these debut fighters to take a lot of shots basically. And there's been fights I've seen him that he just got forced into fighting on like an hour notice and having to, like, there's this crazy shit happens all the time. You got to do shit to survive over there. And a lot of people, they go to the extents where they got to survive.
Okay. Let me ask this question, because I always believe that there's a whole bunch of secret communication happening everywhere in the whole damn world. I'm a conspiracy theorist, and when Josh goes, "Oh, that's exactly what a guy would do if he knows he's got to lose the fight," is he kind of act like it, like little things are wrong, and I'm like, so he's a Thai fighter. Does every Thai fighter know that, and other people that are playing money don't know that? Is that true, or is that just a thing he's thinking?
I think like you just have to. Some people will take falls just to kind of appeal, maybe to. A lot of people don't know how to fight, so then they watch fights. They don't know what they're looking at. Like, you can pull a blanket over anybody's eyes if you're good enough at it. So it's kind of like it's still acting. I guess it's like, there's that happens. That happens in everything. I've seen it in MMA. I've seen it in everything. But
well, the craziest thing that I found out it happens in sumo wrestling too. When I read Freakonomics in that chapter on how when the good guys start going down and they're about to lose their job and get paid, the big guy will fight him and they'll lose. I was like, what? And then they did all the data on it, and it was amazing. Having said that, there's a lot of things in the world that we got to pay attention to and do our best for at that. But sometimes you just got to pay bills, so I get it. So we talked about the culture of Muay Thai. We talked about your life story into it. We talked about when you hear the music and you start to go through the emotion and spirituality of Muay Thai. Let's talk about the walkout song outside of that. Let's talk about your first walkout songs or the music that you decided to choose when you go to the ring. What is it and why?
Well, I think that's why I loved Muay Thai music, because that was the first time I experienced something that was mellow walking out. Because everything I pick is always either crazy metal or like an interesting rap song. So my first actually song was it was a Kalma song. I can't even remember now, but they're like a Finnish death metal band. It's sick guitar, so I love that. But then after that, it was just like, oh man, I've come out to a lot of different stuff. Lamb of God, Toxic Holocaust. Yeah, my tricks my last one for that Lorenz fight, and my phone only loaded one song the whole day, so I listened to it for like 4 hours straight, and it just turned me into a lunatic. So that's where I sometimes miss the Thai calming music, where it kind of levels my head out, but I don't do that often, I guess.
So let me ask that question. When you do that with that music, does it anchor you? Like, if you heard those songs right now, would you kind of get triggered again?
I don't really get triggered, but I get amped up. Like that, if I just gotta make sure my cardio is really good, so I can go crazy for 3 rounds or whatever I need to. So
yeah.
It depends. Like the most comfortable I felt was coming out the hip hop songs, because it just puts you in that cool vibe. Or if I come out the metal, I'm just like, all right, well, this first like 30 seconds might be a little insane. So.
I love it. I love so much about music and using it in different ways And it's interesting as our culture seems to be delving down into types of mental illness as we go down. People are saying now, hey, listen, if you listen to heavy metal music, it actually has an effect that's positive on your mental health. And I was like, well, that's different than when I grew up. But I was a headbanger when I was in elementary school, so it's good to know that. I think that music in all states, in all ways, adjusts your how you feel, and it's an instant thing, right? And once you can use that as a trigger, whether it's walking to the ring or whether it's, oh, I'm too tired to get up this morning, you can just click it on and you can think about something else, and it's amazing. So thank you for that. Hey, I know you're taking time here right now. Let's talk about some of the best advice you've ever gotten from your martial art family or real family, some of the stuff that's really been sort of the Matt Jelly guiding principles growing up.
Well, first time I met Pat Miletich was like meeting an MMA god and realizing he was a really cool human being on top of being like a legend. I was hooked. So, I mean, when he told me a long time ago, it was I will never tell you to do anything that I haven't already done. And then when you look at that guy's background, he's done everything at the highest level possible, and he puts his mind to everything. So it was like, this is like the perfect model. If I want to be like a good trainer or coach, and I want to take all this fight experience of trying to fight in every sport, boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, competing in jiu-jitsu, judo, taekwondo, karate tournaments, doing everything I can possible just so I can kind of meld it into, because MMA is taking over and MMA is what I love. So I want to take all that knowledge, do that, and then when you see Pat Miletich and the Miletich fighting systems over the years, having every single belt,
yeah,
like the gods of the MMA community, when this first really started blowing up. Robbie Lawler's still going. He's still a beast, and he started there when he was a kid. So it's like a lot of those old school fighters are kind of retired now and whatnot, but that gym and that model is kind of how I started piecing how I wanted to go about this sport, and he's a perfect mentor.
Yeah, it's amazing. And now you're at the Performance UFC Performance Institute more often than you're anywhere else. So I mean, now you get to see the evolution of the new fighters and what they can do and how things are doing. That's amazing.
There's one fighter here, Weili, Zhang. She's a killer. She's fighting on the pay-per-view of the John Jones Anthony Smith against Tecia Torres. I've been holding pads for her every single day since she got to Vegas. She really likes my style, and her style is like right up my alley of what I love in striking and MMA striking. She's very dynamic, does everything well, really good Thai clinch, good crazy kicks, hits really hard, and just a pure fighter. So it's like, I love working with her. She's really cool. Same as, man, being in Vegas has been fantastic. Helping out Ryan Couture for his Bellator fight, Lee Jingliang the Leech, and Yan Zhao Han. Even holding pads for Michael Chiesa, Jacare, holding pads for Charles all the time, and other buddy Brandon, who just fought the co-main event in that triumphant show. I'm starting to really enjoy the fight scene in Vegas, and I'm starting to make some good friends down here. It just takes time being in new places. So, and the PI staff is fantastic. They make a joke in a way that I just kind of sleep under the ring all the time. So just get beat up all day. So it's good.
Man, I love the way you've set up this niche for you and the way things are going. I'm excited to talk to you again. You're kind of like the guy that you see all the stuff that I try when I talk to those guys. I try to bring it out. You're there all the time training with them. So it's great to have you on, my friend. I wish you the best of luck when you get back to BC. Let's do dinner, and yeah, man, we'll go from there.
I appreciate everything, man. And can I just say a big shout out to my really good friend Chris Stamp. Always helps me out with everything. Michael and Carrie Pye, and the kids, Ellie, Jack, and Jesse. Everybody back home, all my buddies. If I didn't have that original crew from the start, I wouldn't be able to do all this stuff. So I mean, everything is important in this sport, and you take what you can really appreciate.
I love it. I love it, man. Living that attitude of gratitude, you get to do more cool stuff. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, Matt. We'll talk soon, brother.